Six Nations Tiny Homes project. This is an open house put on by the Six Nations Development Corporation. And this is really an exciting time because, as we all know, we've put out multiple surveys from the elected council to say what are the top priorities in the community that we want to see change quick. And we've gotten back all those results, and every survey has reverted to the fact of housing. And we know that we're in a shortage and a housing crisis, and so we have to get creative in the solutions to start to get people homes and start to get in people's homes faster. And so this is behind us, you'll see is examples of getting creative. So building these tiny homes, but putting a modern twist on them, as well as getting them the perfect amount of space, and to have the ability again to be able to potentially have service lots. That's one of the opportunities that our council is looking at, is being able to again have, as we know, with a home, you need water, you need hydro, you need all the infrastructure involved. And so that's something where council is looking to offset some of those costs, but also to look at getting creative in service lots that would be ready for sale for members who are ready to have home ownership. But also, we know that there's emergency housing. That's always been an issue. There's been many times in scenarios where community members have been in need, whether it be loss of a home or whatever that may be, even our seniors. And so we need to come up with solutions as to where we put members when there's an emergency. And so we think that this is part of a solution to that as well.
Thank you for that. What are some of the barriers that you can see for some of the homeowners who maybe have 5 or 6 acres who want to provide homes for their family, but that might be, 3 to 4 generations in one household. So you're going to have multiple homes on maybe 1 acre of land. What are some of the things, the barriers that we're going to have to be concerned about, or maybe some of the hurdles that we're going to have to look at?
Yeah, and I think obviously it comes down to cost. So we need to look at finances. We need to look at the financial opportunities to see, is this the best fit for a home with, say, 5 people in it? Probably not. But what is the next best to that, to creating a solution? I also see some of the barriers being, we know that, again, land. There are some families that don't have any land, whereas there are some families that have a lot of land, right? And so we need to come up with, again, where is it within abandoned land that we could be able to start to, to again get community members in homes quicker. And so that's something that I think is always, at the end of the day, I know the policies within our housing department also are a barrier, and that's something that the council has been examining and going through as an exercise to make amendments to those policies, because we know the policies that have been in place for 20 plus years, they're not working anymore. And so that's something that we're also going to be fixing.
Thank you for that. Also, another question that I had was for some of the younger generation that are coming up, what are some of the things that they can do or keep in mind when they're thinking about saving for a home, when they're thinking about going to a bank and they're thinking about getting those loans, or thinking about that 3-year or 5-year plan? What are some of the things that, as Indigenous people on Six Nations, we need to keep in mind when we're trying to think of these new outlets and new possibilities that are out there?
That's an amazing question, and I always like to share my experience of advising young people. You gotta have good credit. We have to have financial literacy, so that young people, they need to start 12, 13, 14 tax-free savings accounts, Leo accounts, any type of an account that can at least start them to get in the groove of what it means to save. But again, something that we have been working towards as well is getting young people ready for adulting, because that's a big, and it's scary, right? And so for us, I would suggest, one, understanding financial literacy really is step one, because the amount of, regardless of which, I know, we always say on the territory, we don't have to do this, we don't have to do that. But, when you leave the territory, you need credit. If you ever want to even say, I know some of our members choose to live off, they have to have a mortgage, right? They have to have good financial standings. And so I think that's a huge one for me, is really teaching our young people the importance of financial literacy, and as well the importance of planning, right? We need to be able to, if we know that, that a person wants to build a home on the territory, doesn't ever want to move off, then we need to start to get them in place to say, okay, where's the land? Do you have land? Does your family have land? All of those pieces, because I think, again, it's ultimately trying to set them all up for success. We have to give them the tools, all the right tools in order to be successful.
Yeah, that's so true, that as a community, we need to come together and just learn financial literacy. This is a pilot project for the Six Nations Grand River DevCorp.
Yep.
What is the next steps going to be coming after this?
So that's a really good question. I think the DevCorp might be more suitable to answer that, but I know it's really they want to be able to feel this out, to say, is the demand there? Is this an opportunity to get into the business side of things? While still making a social impact to the needs like housing. So again, I would suggest what I would like to see, and again, just speaking for myself, I would love to see this turn into a business model to where, DevCorp is a branch off of them. They're building these, they're shipping them out, they're getting them to service lots, they're getting them in community. But first and foremost, I think we need to deal with our community first before we get into any others.
That's very true. I want to thank you for your time, and thank you for everything you do for the Six Nations